Welcome to Papillion UnScripted. I am Michael Severe, the place to go to hear from people who truly help make Papillion feel like home. We're heading to the rec department this week, talking with Julian Andrade, who is the recreation coordinator, Papillion Field House. Joining us, how you doing, man?
Doing well, doing good this morning.
Give me your job description, if you were going to narrow it down to a couple of paragraphs.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult, but yeah, recreation coordinator is the job title. I run the field house, as well as the athletics for the recreation department, so that's youth and adult. With that also comes managing, booking, coordinating the fields, so all the city athletic fields, the baseball, the soccer fields, not just the turf, the batting cages, as well as leagues, stuff going on at the gyms. Pretty much everything athletic in the city is at some point tied to my job.
You're going into your third year?
This will be year 2 full-time here at Papillion. So I actually joined in a part-time role while I was still employed with my previous employer, and then this full-time position came available, so I made a move over.
But you've seen the growth, even that short time, right?
Correct.
How many more fields, how much more is it to the job in just a few years?
It's a lot. So with all the expansion, is great, and everything was like the brand new soccer fields just to the west of the field house have become available. The landing fields 5 and 6 have opened up, so that's expanded our baseball offerings for anything. They'll serve 12U and under, so a big population there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, continued growth and use of the indoor turf, outdoor turf gyms. A lot of recurring people that were on before in rental capacities, and then people that want to come in and increase their time here as well. So a lot of growth.
With all that said, in all those fields, is there enough time in the day? Is there enough space for the people who need it?
No, not at all. We try to make it work, but it is very difficult because we have to, again, strike that balance of having a good relationship with our rental partners. But again, at the time, it's not as difficult in the summer like right now. But if someone calls in November, December, and they want to get indoors, it's very difficult. Oh, yeah. And everybody wants space. Everybody wants those prime hours, They get a request and it says, hey, I want Monday to Thursday, 6 to 8. I said, yeah, that's great. That's what everybody wants. But, just striking that balance, trying to appease our partners as much as we can while still keeping the best interest of the city in mind, and kind of, building a card house with that a little bit and, not letting it fall apart. But yeah, it's a little difficult to get everybody in. But in the summer, it's a lot better because everybody's outdoors. Yeah,
you look and you see, so the soccer team's over here, right? Union Omaha. Sometimes the Beef they'll be over here as well. You're there, of course, for the locals to have a chance to be able to get their practice on and stuff. But even for some of the bigger teams, you got to provide that space too.
Correct. And that is a good way to do it because a lot of those things don't create conflicts or overlap each other because you have your adult groups, your college, Bellevue University, or like Union, like pro teams, Omaha Beef teams. They're either practicing daytime during those kind of non-peak, non-high demand hours or late at night. So we are able to do both of those things where we're serving our youth community partners and those new adult, I don't want to say outreach or different enterprises, but creating new partnerships.
So what do we need? What do we need more of? And I know you're not in charge of that budget, but if you were, what do we need more of?
I mean, obviously, if they were able to expand the indoor availability, but as it is, it's kind of stuck in its current format, the size of the field and things like that. And that all goes back to the approval, obviously, of the building of itself. I think our outdoor turf gets really good usage. I know they opened that complex over in La Vista, the multi-sport. And I had some calls about people who said, oh, are you worried about that or anything? I said, actually, the exact opposite. I think that's great. The more big stuff that can come in like that, then we'll get that, that runoff, teams coming in town looking for additional space and things. So, no, I think what we need more is just to get people in the habit of how things work. Every time we have a new field, like the new soccer fields or baseball fields open up, there's a bit of a rush to, okay, well, how do I get my turn? What do I do to this, do this? So just a re-educating people on our policies and how we kind of put things in order is really the best way that we can improve.
I was over there one day shooting the flag football, the NFL flag football stuff, and there were kids playing soccer on one of the fields. There was baseball or softball going on one of the softball, the fourplex. When it's going, it's quite the sight.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Like we'll have this Saturday coming up, so we have the Pro Storm Chasers baseball has a tournament going on multiple landing fields. We'll have Nebraska State Soccer. We'll have outdoor grass fields going on and the outdoor turf for a state tournament.
Wow.
We'll still have the NFL youth flag football going on indoors on the indoor turf. all at the same time, all running in concert, So it does make for a lot of different exciting things going on at once, which is really good, so long as that they're balanced. People know where to park and where not to park. That's a big one.
Right, yeah.
but no, it's good to have a lot going on.
You came on right at the beginning of COVID, or when did you start?
It was just for my when I joined full-time would have been, I guess, right where Papillion was kind of moving out of restrictions and things.
Okay. Yeah. Did that teach you anything? Did it help at all? And so I think a lot of things that happened in COVID obviously were horrible, but I think we learned some stuff too about how to maybe allocate our time, space, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of it was there was a you saw a rush to people wanting to get back to what they consider normalcy.
Right.
So with that, that's where I kind of looked at our schedule and I said, well, typically, either whoever was doing this before me or whoever was covering it, I know there was an interim where there wasn't someone in that role. How far in advance were they going? And that's kind of what I looked at and said, well, people want these. They wanted to do requests on demand, essentially. And I kind of found that to be impractical because with COVID things would change day to day.
Sure.
I said, well, why don't we look at just doing these bookings then kind of twice a year? We're going to do fall, winter season and those requests and book it all out, and then spring, summer, and do it that way. And then it allows for days like today, like if it rains in the morning, stuff like that. Like today, I'll probably get some calls if the weather doesn't improve for last minute adjustments, batting cages, stuff like that. That's easier to handle on the one-off kind of last minute than building the schedule as you go. So I think that's the big thing I kind of took from COVID was, how much of this can I put out in advance? And then I'm just putting out smaller fires every day rather than trying to do the whole thing at once.
I remember when my kid was playing Little League, both of them, finding batting cages that were open were very difficult. How much work do you get there at the batting cages?
A lot. Fall, winter, we're booked pretty much the second school gets out. So the high schools will be there. They rotate days. And then we'll have either like a pro team, meaning pro recreation, or pro select, or a La Vista team, all the way through. So going 3:30 till about 9:30 or 10. And that's in the fall, winter.
Yeah.
And then times like now, spring, summer, it's bad weather days or tournament days. They want some extra work in.
And one of the busiest things you have, or in terms of consistent, is the walking, right?
Yep.
People come in every day and get their walking.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's something that predates me. I know, if I remember the history of it correctly, that started because the field house opened first. And the city wanted to get some traffic in there. They wanted to get some people in there familiar with it. And it's not a money generator by any means. It's a free service.
Right. To just people in Papillion?
Papillion residents,
Right. Yep.
Papillion residents, completely free. All they need to do, they come in, they're all registered as users in our system, so they just check in at the front desk, do their laps, round and round. Every morning there's people, technically we don't open until 9, there's people out there at 8:50, 8:55, same people every morning. I'll go let them in and, get them started. But yeah, they're consistent. They're there even since now that obviously the community center in that area has been an option now for, 3 years. They're in their habit and they're there every day.
Yeah. Where'd you grow up?
From South Omaha and Bellevue. So grew up in South Omaha, moved to Bellevue, graduated high school there.
Yeah. South Oak, can I ask you what street?
Probably mainly, I'd say kind of like the 7th and Pierce, more like the Little Italy area.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So just between South Omaha and downtown.
Okay.
And then moved up to about 22nd and O, kind of right back there by the Boys and Girls Club back there.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Back by South High, so.
Yeah, my wife's South Oak person,
so
that's why I always see what neighborhood you're in.
Yep.
And then you pretty much got in right away to rec and doing things like that?
Yeah, so I was in high school, actually right before high school, middle school, as early as we were allowed to be hired. I want to say it was like 13 or 14. Started working for Bellevue Recreation, City of Bellevue for Jim Shada over there, doing baseball umpiring, field crew, field prep, stuff like that. Did that every summer from, I had to be 8th grade all the way through probably my freshman year of college. And then at the same time at the end there, I think from when I was maybe 19 to 21 for 3 summers, I worked for the rec department here, doing summer camps, doing some rec intern roles. And that final year I had finished out the seasonal and then I stayed on working for Tim Moran, who's my supervisor now.
Right.
Just doing some small stuff as available throughout the year, adult sports, being kind of the on-site, bringing the equipment, set up the field, stuff like that. So really doing that. I was really interested in the field, wanted to stay in it. Was shocked that because I enjoyed doing that as I was growing up and then kind of continued in the field and said, well, I could actually do this full-time permanent and make a living doing this.
Yeah.
So always stayed in that field and then got a full-time offer to work at Boys and Girls Club of the Midlands.
Midlands, right.
Did that. That's where I was for the last decade. in a variety of roles. Again, starting in South Omaha, they started a teen late night program. Needed a sports director for that. So I took that role, was there for about 3 or 4 years, and then moved to Westside at that club for their team program. And then we opened a brand new club out in Millard, moved out there as the assistant director. So did that for another 2 or 3 years.
So you're not that old. You have like 30 years of experience.
I have a lot. So it kind of became interesting. So at that time, when I took that full-time BGC offer, I actually stopped going to school. And I was probably 1.5 years in and I had my major declared as just a business admin. I knew I was working in rec, but I hadn't gone into that field yet.
Right.
So I wasn't going to school for about 3 years. I was just working full-time. But there was situations where I'd put in for different positions or promotions within the organization. The CFO there at the time was really honest with me and said, "Hey, I cannot bypass these people if you do not have your degree."
Right.
You know, that's really a big thing. I know it seems like just a piece of paper or what have you, but I really need you to, it gives you a legitimacy, it gives you credibility.
Right.
I need you to take care of it. And then at that same time, they started offering tuition reimbursement. So I kind of said, well, okay, I'll go ahead and turn around and do it. So finished up, actually finished at Bellevue University, sport management degree. And then that allowed me to continue to advance there. And then when I moved here, I wanted to continue that as well. So I enrolled to do my master's, which I just finished this last term. So,
oh, congratulations.
Yeah, just finished it's master's in recreation, sport management focus. So yeah, just finished that up. But yeah, was working that full time throughout that. So it was a little non-traditional route, but got me here.
And now married with a young one.
Yep, married. My wife already has another child, so I have a 5-year-old stepson as well, Eli. So if you ever see me at the field house on the weekend with him running around, or he'll do swim lessons, soccer, football, everything.
Sure.
But you have him, and then I just had our son Monaco, born in November.
Monaco.
Yep, Monaco.
That's sophisticated.
I like classy right now. Yeah, it's just that was my great grandfather's name,
that's awesome.
Spanish name.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we were actually scheduled to meet and do this. I think either November, December. Yeah. He was due December 22nd, 23rd. He actually came November 19th. So bit anxious, bit scary, bit. It was we were excited, but knew he was going to be early because Eli, her first son, was early as well. But yeah, then he ended up in the NICU for 3 weeks, and it was tough. It was hard, but everything healthy, just came early.
Yeah. I always tell people that if there's a line to get into heaven, the NICU nurses are in first. They're the first ones to get in. It's not even close. It's not a battle.
Yeah, it was a day and constant daily thing, getting the updates from the nurses, and there was a handful of them that really we were counting on for information, for updates, for we'd be there staying overnight, and it was taxing and exhausting, and then when it finally ended, we were ready to get out of there.
I can imagine.
It was a lot.
I always ask this question to everybody. Is there something in Papillion or Sarpy County that you really enjoy doing, whether it's an event or an activity that you'd like to highlight? Something that you guys, you and your family, or you really enjoy doing?
I actually enjoy, it is different from my bringing in Bellevue, that there's so many different youth providers already in place here in Papillion. I think that's great because it allows for, I don't want to say if people have a bad experience somewhere or they want to just change coaches, they want to change teams, they want to do things like that. There's a lot of different outlets where it's like, well, I was from Bellevue, you're playing for this or this. If you don't like it, you're playing for that coach next year anyways. You know what I mean? Where I've noticed in Papillion, there's a lot of people moving around. A lot of things, oh yeah, we didn't have a great experience, or we want something different, we want something select, we want this or this. Right. I like that there's a lot of variety, a lot of options, there's a lot of offerings, and at a lot of different price points. You can go play somewhere private and select for a high fee. You can play rec for Papillion or La Vista or whatever at a reasonable cost. So that's something I've really appreciated about Papillion from that standpoint, especially having 2 boys that I plan on putting in athletics to see which way they go.
Yeah, sure.
But going to have a lot of different options.
I think really one of those coaches out there, that Trent Albers guy, I think a lot of people are trying to get away from him. He's the one. He's hard on those kids. That's what I've heard. Yeah. That's probably
checking the mayor's hotline every day, and it's
reports about
looking. I look for anything that sports or coaching there might relate to me, and I was like, oh, I better stay away from this guy. Sorry.
That's just a joke. Man, we appreciate it, Julian. It was good talking to you, finally catching up with you, man. We appreciate it. Join us again next time when we again speak with someone who helps make Papillion feel like home.